On tonight's episode of Lowdown, we'll attend a dinner honoring a great man, gain some culture at the UCM Art Gallery, and sit down with a student who's taking his learning to a greater degree. All this and more coming up next. Welcome back to Lowdown, a show produced by the students at the University of Central Missouri in Warrensburg. I'm Anaya Smith, and thank you for joining us this evening as we continue to dive into all the cool things happening here at UCM. On this episode, we'll attend a dinner honoring Martin Luther King Jr., we'll go to Breaking Into Blossom at the UCM Art Gallery, and we'll sit down with a student here at UCM to see how he's taking his learning to a greater degree. Now let's take a look.
Mr. Christian Cutler will tell us about Melissa Wilkerson's Unnatural History pieces, and also Sarah Wynn herself will tell us more about the Breaking Into Blossom sculpture.
My name is Christian Cutler. I'm the Gallery Director for the University of Central Missouri Department of Art and Design. So this month we have Melissa Wilkerson's watercolor paintings up. Melissa teaches at Arkansas State in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And this is our second exhibition with her. We had another exhibit about 5 years ago. This is a brand new body of work called Unnatural History. She is combining early 19th century naturalist paintings with modern imagery, both digital imagery as well as human imagery. She's talking about dichotomies, which she's talking about opposites, attraction, repulsion, good, evil, future, past. Each one has a lot of naturalistic images in them, very photorealistic pictures of people's faces and mouths. So this is a really interesting show to see. It's almost like a natural history museum in here with an added twist to human sensuality. Our outer gallery has a one-person show by Sarah Wynn, who is a Columbia, Missouri artist, and she has brought us a replica of the bomb dropped on Nagasaki in World War II. And it is based off of a short story that her husband wrote, Fong Wynn. Fong used to teach here, and Sarah used to teach here as well, until they moved to Columbia recently. The short story is about what would have happened if that bomb never exploded when the Americans dropped it on Japan. So what would the world be like today? And that question is asked in that exhibition. As the gallery director and curator, that's kind of like asking which one of my children is my favorite. It's really tough. I do love the silhouette work that Melissa Wilkerson has created, especially with the birds. Some of the ones that include a landscape in the background. Very familiar to where I grew up along the coast, Louisiana and Texas. So those are probably my favorites of this show. The installation by Sarah Wynn in our outer gallery is also just spectacular. A lot of work went into that piece, and it asks a really interesting question. So I think that exhibit is also really one of my favorites. Sarah has hand cut large panels of Tyvek, which is a plastic-based paper. And each one has been hand cut with cherry trees. And so those petals are supposed to represent cherry blossoms and the petals and flowers that fall during the life of the tree. And so those petals, almost like teardrops, fall to the floor, and people are welcome to write their messages of what they wish for the future, for them, for their family, for others, and add that to the piece. So viewers get to be a part of the exhibition and a future exhibition. Sarah plans to accumulate all of those petals after the show, pick them up and put them together in another piece for future exhibition.
I am Sarah Wynn. I used to work at UCM as an adjunct faculty member, and I now am an artist at Orr Street Studios in Columbia, Missouri. So why I am here today was to present and give a talk about an installation piece which is in the first gallery called Break Into Blossoms. And it is a piece that I made with artist Justin Shaw and my husband Fong Win. And we collaborated on this piece and put it together, and it's going to be here for the next month or so. So I'm here today because I was giving a talk as part of a lecture series at UCM, and the UCM Foundation Lecture Series, I think is what it's called. And the talk is about Break Into Blossoms, which is an installation piece about the dropping of Little Boy, the bomb Little Boy on Hiroshima. And the piece is an alternate reality piece. So instead of Little Boy dropping and detonating, it falls to the ground and is a dud, and instead the world sort of sees what evil could have been presented, and the world wars end in that way without the loss of life.
Reporting from Lowdown, this is Hunter Hallbaker.
So my name is Amber Gorham, and I'm the director of the Career Services Center. The Career Services Center is really here to help students think about their future career planning, right? So when I kind of tell students that we're all about, is that there's kind of two parts to our center. So there's definitely that educational part for students about thinking about topics like how to put together your resume, how to put together really all of your job application materials. That could be resume, that could be cover letter, that could be reference pages, things like that. But then also we have students that have an interest in going into graduate or professional school, and so that might be their curriculum vitae, their personal statement, their letter of intent. And so our office, our goal is to really help students be prepared, and be prepared in all of the different areas of career development. So that could be with their job application materials, that could be with helping them with their interviewing skills, professional dress, what do I even wear in an interview situation, also helping them job search. We do a lot of work with students who are looking for part-time jobs, who are looking for internships, and then full-time jobs beyond graduation. So our goal is to help students feel more confident, more prepared in being able to handle and go through those processes. But then the other side of our office that is definitely a big goal of ours is connection, and connecting those students to opportunities, connecting them to employers, connecting them to people that are working in the profession and industry that they're considering. So when I think of the Career Center, and when I always tell students what I really want them to remember from us, is that we're here to educate you on all those career development related topics, but then also try to connect you to those opportunities and connect you to professionals in the field. So I think it's really important for students to get to know the Career Services Center, and really the main reason why I would say that is because we're here to help you think about what you want to do beyond graduation. I mean, we know that the majority of students that come to this campus come here because they want a better job, and they want to have a career, and they want to be successful by the time they beyond finishing their degree, right? And so the Career Center can be an integral part in that. I mean, we can really help you start thinking about what do you want to do. I mean, a lot of times students may know what they want to major in, but they don't necessarily know what they want to do with that major. So helping them explore different career options with that major, helping them think about what types of experiences they should try to pursue to help them be as competitive and as marketable for the workplace as possible. And so sometimes just sitting down with somebody to start to have those conversations can be really beneficial, and I think the Career Center can be a really big part in that. And again, I think it's why it goes back to building that relationship with your career advisor. The more you get to know that person, the more that person has a better understanding of who you are, what your goals are, what do you want to accomplish as a student, and we can really kind of start to help you put that actionable plan together to help you get there. So it's more about thinking about what you want to do, and then what are those next steps? What are those things that we can really put to the, where the rubber meets the road, and say, okay, these are the things you really need to do between now and the time you graduate to make yourself as competitive as possible for either transitioning into the workforce or transitioning into graduate or professional school. So, I think the Career Center can be a really big piece in that, and I think sometimes students don't necessarily think about it in a timely manner. They tend to wait a little bit more towards, hey, graduation's a couple months away or maybe 2 to 3 weeks away. But I would encourage students to think about that earlier. Come and have those conversations earlier so that it's not as stressful your senior year. And hopefully we've put enough planning in place to help you make that transition a little bit earlier, and even maybe to have that process be a little bit smoother than what sometimes it can be if you wait to the last minute. We do have an upcoming event. It's going to be February 13th is our Big Career Expo, and our Big Career Expo stands for business, industry, and government. So for students that are interested in those areas, I strongly encourage you to attend. The event is from 1 to 4 in our multi-purpose building, and we'll have anywhere from around 160 employers that are here ready to engage with UCM students for either internships or even full-time jobs beyond graduation. Sometimes there's also even grad and professional schools there as well. Typically those that are in that industry try to attend more of the fall event, but sometimes we'll have some of those employers in our Spring Career Expo in addition to just our regular employers. One thing I would definitely make sure that I would want to make sure that students are aware of is Handshake. Handshake is our online recruiting platform, and all students have an account with Handshake, and I want to make sure that students understand that that is a great resource for them to help them in terms of finding jobs, finding employers, really knowing about every single thing that our Career Center has to offer. And the more that students are on it, the more that Handshake will recommend different jobs and different careers and different employers for you based on what you're doing. So it uses the same algorithm as like a Netflix or a Hulu. So the more you're in the system, the more you're looking at jobs and favoriting jobs and looking at employers, that system's going to really start to pick up your preferences and start to make a lot of recommendations for you. We do really encourage when students attend our events, especially our career expos, that they have the app downloaded, because that'll even help the students know how to navigate the event and who's there and what they're specifically recruiting for. So it would be another piece of information I'd really want to make sure to get out to students is our Handshake platform.
Reporting for Lowdown, I'm Blake Proctor.
My name is Brandon, and I've been in Kingdom Hearts for about maybe since 2003. I've been waiting to play Kingdom Hearts 3 since the second one came out back in 2006. I've been watching these characters ever since I was a kid, and I've grown up playing all the games, and getting to see the conclusion of all that is really exciting, especially knowing all kinds of fans are playing the game as well. My overall feelings about Kingdom Hearts 3 is excitement. I'm anxious to see how the story is going to play out, how the characters are going to interact with each other, all the new worlds that they have, and just enjoying the music and the gameplay and the new graphics, and everything about the game is just really exciting. And I've been following it since they released the E3 footage back in, I want to say, 2013, so it's been quite a while. Kingdom Hearts means it envelops everything about friendship. I think being a good person. I feel like Kingdom Hearts teaches people young and old how to cherish the relationship that we have and to always be close with those you care about. And I think that's why it's such a popular series. I think most people enjoy the series for the aspect of seeing all the Final Fantasy characters and the Disney characters interacting with each other. Well, at least that was how it started off. Now I feel like so many people have grown to love these characters that that's the main draw, and seeing how this story finally concludes, I think, is really exciting for a lot of people. For newcomers, I think this game might be a bit confusing just because there's so much to the story. I think that Square Enix has done a good job before the game came out with having games like The Story So Far or Kingdom Hearts 2.8 or 2.5, any of those kind of games, to kind of get a whole encapsulation of all these different games, and they're all on PS4 now, so I think it's a great way for people to learn. And there's also different things they do in the game to kind of introduce new players to what's happened so far, people who probably haven't played the games in a long time. I think the story will conclude with some of the friendships in the game being tested, or some new gameplay type being introduced, and there's already been them showing different gameplay types. I think the story will conclude this saga that they set up, but I also think it will open up new opportunities for the series. And the new worlds that excite me the most would have to be the Toy Story world and the Monsters Inc. world. I think a lot of fans have been waiting to see Pixar get involved with the series, and finally getting to see these characters in Kingdom Hearts is really exciting, because these are some of my favorite movies growing up as a kid, so getting to actually play in them is awesome, especially with all the Kingdom Hearts characters so far. I do think I will always follow Kingdom Hearts. I've bought all the games that they've come out with. I'm a die-hard fan of the series, so I'll be playing the games until I can't anymore for the future.
Reporting for Lowdown, Brandon Williams.
Once every school year, the University of Central Missouri comes together to remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy by hosting a Freedom Scholarship Dinner. This dinner celebrates 3 distinguished students from extenuating circumstances with award aid to help lessen their financial burden while attending UCM. I spoke to the youngest recipient of the evening, Mariah Woodson, on what receiving this award meant to her.
It was a bit surprising because, I'm young and I didn't think I would receive any kind of scholarship. So this was kind of like the very first scholarship that actually means something. So it's kind of like a big thing and it's special.
Once finding himself homeless, living on the streets, and attending a university himself, Jay Todd spoke to me about the cruciality of this scholarship for minorities, as well as different avenues on campus available to help students face adversity.
There was one recipient who said, with her getting these scholarships, it's only kept her about $2,000 in debt. That's a big deal, especially for minority college students, because a lot of us do have to take out so many recurring loans with so much of high interest, and we go to get our education, but then we end up coming out with our education and a huge amount of debt. So with that scholarship, it's helping them have a little bit more financial freedom as far as getting their education, giving them one less thing to worry about, whether it's books, whether it's going towards housing. I mean, housing is also a great worry, for students who come from extenuating circumstances.
It's very difficult, I'm not gonna lie to you, because I don't know anybody in my family that had that college experience, so I didn't really have anybody to talk to. So stepping in, college is just a new ball game. It's different from high school, and it's a big transition into being a college student.
Our past president, President Ambrose, helped me overcome that adversity. And then, also when I got here, I was struggling with academics a great deal. And that's when I got connected to the TRIO program, which is, geared towards helping non-traditional students like myself. And I'm a non-traditional student. I'm a first-generation student, plus, being homeless and not having that much financial aid and assistance outside of school. Overcoming those adversities at the universities, with having these type of people here, these type of resources, these type of organizations and programs, it really helped me obtain not only, my bachelor's degree, but now my master's. So, it's stuck out for me a great deal.
I have a dream. A message that is now 56 years old, yet still resonates with our generations and continues to be taught to our prosperity. But what exactly does I have a dream mean today?
Being a black man at a predominantly white institution, his dream meant everything to be here at this exact spot, at this exact moment. Just the ability to get education without any restrictions, the ability to further, your mind power, to further your knowledge, to further your connections as far as, just being an individual, not just as a black individual or as a white individual. So, that's a great deal of what his dream meant to me, especially with me obtaining my education.
Keep going, don't ever fall back or have any doubts. Just keep pushing through. If it gets hard, you can always ask for help, or you can try to figure out yourself. I just know if you have a dream for something, just go for it and then just make it happen.
Who I am and where I'm at is not going to coincide where I'm going and where my people are going. So it keeps me more steadfast in what I want to do for my people, just like it did for Dr. King when he was here.
I'm very grateful that I received this scholarship because it just identifies who I am, and I'm just a black woman on campus trying to pursue her dreams, so that's what I'm doing. The presentation about Martin Luther King, it gave me just a refresh about everything and what he did, what was his purpose of his speeches, how he traveled everywhere talk about anything, and it just inspired me as a person and to just go for my dreams. That's it.
Not us, then who? If not now, then when? If I, see something going on and I just wait for somebody else to step in, it might never get stepped into. It could be the same things happening over and over and over and over and over again. The cycle of injustice, the cycle of, oppression, the cycle of just abuse and just negative things towards our people can constantly keep going on. So, with me, I was one of those people where I got so tired of being involved in it and seeing it happen time and time again to where I had to at some point step up and say, okay, well, we have to make a change. And if not we, then myself first for myself and then for others around me.
Reporting for Lowdown, I'm Ranjanae Hill.
My name is Trayvon Wilson Wade. My major is digital media production with an emphasis in digital cinema. The DMP experience at UCM has been pretty good for me so far. I came into this major not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, and then I got into digital cinema and it's been pretty fun so far. I learned a lot. The staff is great. I like all the teachers. I feel like they really care about the students, and I was in other majors where it didn't feel like that, and when I switched to this one, this is all positive, really. DMP is digital media production. It's almost everything is digital media production, like TV shows, sports has digital media, anything with visuals is digital media. So the possibilities are almost endless, but yeah, digital media is basically messing with cameras. Audio is a part of digital media. There's a lot of things going to digital media. So far, working with the digital media production department, I've been able to work with Blackmagic production cameras, which are the cinema cameras. My first time working with that. I've gotten to actually work on a music video. That was pretty fun at my first time. I actually, now since doing that, plan on making music videos on my own with my own equipment. And I've also learned editing and how to use the programs like Premiere and all the editing software to use on my own time as well. UCM helps digital media students maximize their experience by, if there's an event on campus, we're able to film it. There's a TV station, CamOS, that you could work at, and you could shoot stories and basically just look at the schedule, see the events, you can shoot a story, and it gives you the opportunity to go out and get some things for your demo reel so you can get a job. And yeah, they help you build your reel and get footage and whatever you want to do so you can get out in the world and be successful. How I practice digital media on my own is actually, another thing I picked up here was photography. I didn't think I was going to be into that, but it's been pretty fun. So I created an Instagram account, and I'm taking pictures and I'm editing pictures. Also, I got a new camera, so instead of just depending on the school's equipment, I'm going out, I'm shooting my own videos. I'm thinking about doing videography and concert photography as well, so I'm just branching out and trying different things within the field with my own equipment. The kind of work that goes into being a DMP student, I can't speak for other majors, but it feels like we do a lot outside of class, such as filming, editing. So what we do takes a lot of time. It's just not one assignment that you write out and it's finished. You have to keep looking at it, checking over it, and making sure it's good. If it's not, you have to do reshoots. It's just a lot of creative work going into the major. But luckily, UCM has a lot of resources to where you don't have to work on your own with your computer. They have computer labs. They have the DMP labs downstairs. You can check out equipment. They have an audio room where you can record sound. They have an edit bay where you can edit your footage, and it's accessible to students in the DMP major. So they make it easier for us to work outside of class since we have so much to do outside of class. What DMP means to me is creativity and basically getting your story on film and connecting with people. That's it.
Reporting here from Lowdown, I am Brendan Wade.
Well, look who it is, our favorite knucklehead Tim. And he's about to fall victim to a carelessly placed and plugged in extension cord. Oh, Tim. Now Tim has tripped over and unplugged this power cord that could have possibly caused a lot of damage. Now, we can't help Tim's proneness to tripping over cords, but we can help with keeping that cord plugged in regardless. All Tim has to do is tie the two cords in a knot and then plug them in. This will create enough friction between the two of them that they will resist being unplugged. Tune in next time to see what Tim will do wrong next.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have this evening, but never fear, the show in its entirety and individual segments can be found online at our KMOS TV YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. I'm Anaya Smith. Good night.